Hello everyone, HisRoyalFatness here and welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing the How to Play series in the E100 where I will show you 3 consecutive live games in this vehicle today, which will break down my thought process as well as show you through either my accomplishments or my failures how this vehicle performs on average. And with that out of the way, let us discuss the E100 because oh boy, is this a good tank. It has a lot going for it. It has an amazing 15cm gun. It has 2,900 hit points. It has a nice boxy armor profile that can be angled. It has decent mobilities to go along with that, which together just make it one of the best tier 10 heavy tanks. And once you figure out the basics of this tank and how to use it, you're really going to enjoy this tank on the whole. So before we jump into those live games, however, I would like to show my equipment for anyone who is interested. This is what I am running on the E100. Now, I always say equipment is completely subjective to you as a player, so it's a good idea to experiment around with equipment to see what suits you and your playstyle best. However, I would, generally speaking, recommend the calibrated shells because as an E100 driver, you're going to be running against a lot of fellow heavy tanks on the opposing team. So E100s, IS-7s, mice, you name it. A lot of heavy tanks are going to run into frontal engagement, so having that 367mm of heat pen is very beneficial. And with that out of the way, let's jump right on into the live battles. So here we are on Alpenstadt for the first game, and the enemy team are pretty light. They do have some heavy tanks such as the Motion and the T57 heavy and the 50B, but they're mostly mobile heavy tanks. Except for the Motion, their heavy tanks are very mobile. So I'm not going to really be too worried about them going towards this half of the map. I'm going to pull towards the encounter cap to see if I can get some shots in early, and if so, you know, see if we can be effective at kind of pushing through the mid and get the enemy team in a crossfire. I have a feeling a lot of their tanks are going to go towards that side of the map, and as you can see, our M60 has already been spotted up. So let's continue to just pull forward. Our Gorilla 15 was spotted up, which definitely means they have tanks there, and he takes a lot of damage. I think it would be better if he played that a little bit more passively than he did there, but it's whatever. So here's the T57 heavy. We're going to try and put a shot into him. We get a nice shot into his turret. We're just going to angle it up and pull backwards here. We can hold here pretty well. I am dealing with about 10 to 20% packet loss, which is a little unfortunate, but we can still hold this side of the map pretty well. Now, if we side scrape this out properly, the Motion won't have much of a shot on us, so we can probably shoot at his hatch, and we do get a nice shot into his hatch. And this is just your average heavy tank gameplay. I'm not going to be doing this too much longer because it will get kind of boring and I'll need to make more of a play, but for now, I'm happy to keep their heavy tanks out of the fight. So this is kind of me here holding off these 2 heavy tanks, and until we know what the enemy team is doing is probably the best thing I can do. So I'm going to put another shot into the 57 and back up here, and now we have a T22 problem. So this T22 is trying to YOLO me. It's a really bad idea. That's all I can say. He is making a huge mistake here. The FV215B is about to drop down on him. I don't know why he's just sitting here trying to wiggle. We're going to max roll him, hopefully, hitting him for 800. The FV should be able to pick up the kill soon, and yeah, so these tanks played way too aggressive here. Let's be honest. They were just way too aggressive here. And they're just trying to tunnel me. That is perfectly fine by me, because they're practically just killing their tanks for free. So we're going to pick up the kill on the Vickers. That is perfectly fine by me. And then we're going to turn our attention to this 57 heavy. So there is not much I can say about what happened in this game. I think it was just a hardcore case of the tunnels. You know, the enemy team, they do like to tunnel me sometimes. And yeah, I guess it worked out in my benefit this time, because that is why the E100 is so good. You can have like 2 very strong vehicles just super aggressively push on you, like in that situation, and you'll just survive because you're an E100, and that's what the E100 does. So hopefully the AMX50 pulls forward. He does not, but we're just going to progress and push on him instead. So a pretty solid first game. Good example of just chilling, side scraping, and then how this tank can just absolutely abuse medium tanks. I mean, the T22 is really struggling to get shots on me at that point in time, and hopefully we can also demonstrate the HE factor abilities of this tank. So we're going to put a nice HE, only 777, but you know what? It's better than what we had. And we're going to continue pushing up on the 50B. We do get a nice ram onto him for 180 damage. And yeah, he's already dead in this game. So there we go. That is a GG for me. picking up the last kill. Not a bad first game, although I would say highly unusual considering how aggressive the enemy team played there. So he did 4.8 thousand damage. E100 doing what the E100 does. It just, you get in a side scrape and those heavy tanks really struggled to pen me. And then when those mediums and lights tried pressuring me frontally, they couldn't do much to me. And since I was in a very narrow passage there, when I backed up onto them, there wasn't much they can do there. So now we're on Canyon for this second game. And you know what? This is not my favorite map for the E100. It can work, and I think what I'm going to do here is actually go towards the middle of the map and see if I can do anything over there, because, well, I don't have a ton of faith in our medium tanks really spotting up the mid, and I can just chill there, kind of work things out, and then when it's necessary, we can pressure the enemy team. So we do have a Vickers Light, which is great. He has great view range, spot up the mid. Maybe I'll be able to get some early shots on the crossing over on the left. It really depends on what gets spotted up. So there we go. We see the AMX 5120 has already been spotted up going in towards the town. So we're gonna want to keep an eye on him, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll even be able to get some early shots. And there we go. There's a 62A on our right, and in fact, I want to shoot at that T62A while he's sitting sideways. So we're gonna put a shot in. We're going to attempt to put a shot in. Unfortunately, that shot did not go in, but we got an idea of what the enemy team is doing. They got a Chieftain in the mid, a 62A just chilling over here. Our team is pushing aggressively through A. And because our team is going so aggressive through A, I want to kind of push along with that. So here's an M103. We're going to angle up to the M103, but I'm saving my shot for this T62A. So we're going to put a nice HE into the 62 and just back up here and get hauled down from the M103. Now the M103 activated his reactive armor. That's fine. And he seriously should not be sitting here because he's about to get mega crossfired out. Now here's the Leopard. I'm not going to waste a shot on him because it's an auto bounce angle. Just going to hold my shot for a moment. I start pushing on this Leopard here and the Chieftain that are just kind of stuck in the open. So maybe we can get a nice HE into the Leopard. Unfortunately, it doesn't pen. We did get a shot in. That was a very hard shot. It was right around the corner. But yeah, just doing E100 stuff, pushing down low. And that's why I went towards the mid, is because I had a feeling if our team pushed on one side or the other, I can just push through the mid, be a distraction, and do very well. We're going to pick up a kill on the M103. And now we're going to turn our attention towards this Chieftain and E4 coming from our left. Now, unfortunately, our Vickers Light dies there, but I'm not too concerned about the AMX 5120 and the enemy spawn, and this E4 is going to become my new prioritized target. Now, the E4, oh dear, he is giving me a nice juicy rear shot, and we do max roll him for over 1100 damage there, so that is very good for me. And now we can start working on this Chieftain Mark 6. So, just running around like a maniac in my E100, just doing what the E100 does. I'm not really sure what this Chieftain's trying to do. He's just sitting up there, and he actually did pen the shot, so I got to give him some credit for that. And yeah, so we can continue pulling forward here. Hopefully, the Chieftain Mark 6 gives us a nice hatch shot where we can HE his hatch. And we do HE his turret, but that was just some pretty bad trades. So somehow this game is still relatively close, and because of that, I'm going to want to take it easy. I have a feeling this Chieftain's going to try and YOLO me just because he might want to try and pick up the kill or whatever. I would be easier to kill here, but we should have this game pretty good and solid. So let's continue pressuring this Chieftain Mark 6. He is pulling down the hill now. That is fine by me. He's giving me his lower plate. We're going to put a nice shot into his tracks right there. And then our 62A is just... he's not going to survive very long. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can really do to keep him alive. We're going to angle up to this Chieftain, and the Foch has fired once. Now, I'm not going to push over here. That would be a really bad idea. But what I can do is just continue pressuring this Chieftain Mark 6. So he's giving me the side of his turret, so I can put a shot into him there. And we can see the Foch is pushing in from below me. So I'm going to pull back here to make sure I can get out of that Foch's line of sight. And I can just stay safe here. And in fact, I can actually push over. The Foch can't one-tap me here. And I would like to get this extra shot in for the damage. So we're going to put a nice heat shell through him. And then maybe if we're lucky, get the ram kill. We do miss the ram. Unfortunately, the i7 doesn't hit the ram either. But the game's over. The Foch shouldn't have the gun depression to shoot at me once I back up just a little bit more. And we're good to go. So over 5,000 damage. Kind of just a wonky game, to be honest. I mean, enemy team was all over the place. My team was all over the place. Something I'd like to note that was important, though, was how we pushed on the right hand side. You saw my mediums were pushing A, and I decided to do that as well. And instead of shooting the M103, I decided to kill the 62A, as once that 62A was dead, those tanks on the right hand side would be free to start crossfiring the M103. So sometimes picking up those kills are just super important. So a pretty solid game overall. And for our third battle here, we are on Vineyards. This can be a very good map for the E100. I'm gonna go straight on into the town because, once again, generally speaking, I like to take my E100 to those town environments. Obviously, that's not always what I'm gonna do. As the last game you saw, I actually went mid on Canyon, which is Not always what you'd expect of an E100, but it worked really well there. Whereas in this case, I think going town is going to be my best option because the enemy team have an interesting lineup. They have a lot of tanks that can actually go towards the encounter cap. We don't have a lot of vehicles going towards the right. Now our T-22 should go right at least because the enemy team have no medium tanks, right? So they don't have tanks that can counter us on that side. So if our T-22 can take control over there, that's good for us. If not, we're just gonna have to try and make this work. So pushing in through the town right now, trying to see if I can get any early spots off. We're not spotting anything yet, which is interesting. And there we go. The enemy team has clearly gone towards the C side of the map. That is fine by me. The question is, how do we play it out from here? Because they're going to be in our spawn soon, right? They're going to be pretty much all over the place. And I think what I can do here is probably go back and try and hold our spawn somehow with this T-22 because our whole team's kind of stuck in town. This can be good, this can be bad. It really depends on how the enemy team decides to play it out. What I'm going to do for now is I'm going to sit in these bushes and I'm going to snipe. Yes. And that's because I don't want to YOLO out into any kind of crossfires. And as you can see, our 183 is already taking some damage. I'm going to wait for a little, see what this T-22 spots up, see what gets spotted up in our spawn. And there we go. Here is the E5 already being pretty aggressive towards here. Now, he is actually just far enough behind the solid cover where I don't have a shot on him, but we do get a shot now. So we're going to snap a nice shot into him. And there we go. So we know where the E5 is. We know where the M103 is. And now the E5 has given me an opportunity to push out and start dealing damage. Since I know he is no longer haul down and safe, there is a Foch up there. We're going to want to keep an eye out for that. But for me, my priority is going to be this E5. Maybe we can get an ammo rack. There we go. His ammo rack was damaged, so, you know, it was bound to happen when it hit there. And so far, this game has been a pretty solid start. What I think I'm going to do here is try and stay angled up to this KPZ-70. Now, the KPZ might pen this. He does not. He kind of panicked right there and didn't really aim the shot in. It's fine by me. And the 183 on the enemy team's already being nuked. So I think I can push up towards this middle portion. We know there's no tanks on the left that can really shoot at me, and I can work down these heavy tanks from here. So I pushed out of the town, but you saw how I was patient for a moment. Just because I'm a heavy tank doesn't mean I should just YOLO in and try and deal damage to the enemy team. No, you can be patient in this vehicle, wait to see what the enemy team does, and work around it. We're going to put a traction onto this guy, and then the KPZ is just really over poking here. So hopefully our 183 wasn't paying attention. I was going to say hopefully our 183 can shoot him back, but that's not the case. I'm not too concerned about taking a shot or two from this tank. I would rather actually pick up a kill on the 183, which I'm going to do now, and then we're going to pull back and just make sure we are up to date on our angles. Make sure we have all tanks covered here. Here's the KPZ. Unfortunately, he shoots me again. I really wish our 183 was a little bit more aggressive here, but we know the enemy's 183 is out. I'm going to put a shot into this M103's turret side. We're going to put a nice shot in there, and now we're going to angle up once again towards this KPZ, as I don't want to take a third shot from him, right? That just wouldn't be so good. Now, we do take a shot from the M103. KPZ is clearly struggling to pen us here, and he does hit us with a heat round. M103 YOLOs in, does ram me for a lot of damage. That's kind of his mistake there. We're going to put an HE into him, pick up the kill there, and it's just the KPZ and a Foch left. So we did a good job here. We were able to hold off these heavy tanks, kill the 183, kill the E5, and I think we definitely did our work as an E100. We just waited. I waited for the enemy team to make the wrong play, and once they made the wrong play, it was all game over for them. So I'm just trying to see if I can bait this KPZ-70. Unfortunately, the bait doesn't go in, and I might go down here, but we are going to put at least one more shot into him before that happens, hitting him for 700. And what I can do here is keep backing around the corner. I'm going to bait him around the corner, right? So hopefully my teammates can start shooting at him instead. He fires there. We're going to pop the adrenaline. Hopefully we can push in and pick up the kill. I should be able to out reload him pretty significantly here, and maybe we'll even get a max roll. No max roll, but we do hit him for 700, and that's 4.9k damage. Okay, so these games were just all over the place, right? Nothing really too reliable. I went town expecting some of the enemy team to go town. They didn't. So I held spawn here, waited for the enemy team to overexpose, and then pushed out when I saw an opportunity. And then I got caught in a weird kind of crossfire between the KPFZ and M103, but it worked. I kept those two heavy tanks just out of the fight, which gave my team the opportunity to freely work on the other side. And that's just kind of what the E100 is good at. It's good at just being in places to stop the enemy team from progressing, and when you need to, just helping your team do that push, or helping push on those vehicles. Like on Canyon, I pushed down with my team. On this game, I saw that I had a T-22 and a 183 covering me. Mind you, they didn't do much to help me there, but I did have that potential cover fire, which is why I did push out into the open there, and we were able to easily make it work. So E100 overall, you can angle it as much as you like and everything. You're not going to bounce every single shot. Most of the time, you will bounce a lot of the tier 9s if you angle up correctly, but in this case, you saw the KPF Z70 just put heat straight through the turret, and in other games, but where that T22 on the first game could not pen. So yeah, definitely work on angling your E100, but just don't rely on bouncing those shots too much. Just anticipate, you know what, there's a good chance that, there's a 50-50 chance that they're going to pen me no matter how well I am angled. So that is my video on the E100. I hope everyone enjoyed. Please feel free to like the video and subscribe for more content. You guys are awesome, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Yes. Well, I was planning on making a video just now, Bobby, but seems like you have different plans.